Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Bikinis After Babies. Thank you so much for joining us today. Of course, I am one of your hosts, Mandy Rochon, here with your other host, IFBB Bikini Pro, Gillian Hughes.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Happy Friday. We're closing out 2024, and today we're bringing you a hot topic, something that we really wanted to be careful about, not careful, like mindful about how we approached it, is something that we get a lot of questions about as coaches for women, both on our lifestyle program and our prep clients, and things that we're concerned with and really mindful about, which is gut health and digestion. So today's episode is lovingly called Gut Stuff. It's like the sister episode to Butt Stuff, which was like four or five episodes ago. So we're going to dive into that. But first, we're going to update you on what's been going on. So Mandy, why don't you tell us what's going on in your world?
Oh, just still staying busy with the holidays. I mean, this year our family did decide not to do Christmas gifts, which is nice. So I haven't been as busy with gifts. But we don't have any little kids in our family. Carson is 15. He's the only child in my family. So on my side and my husband's side, there's no kids, like just none. So it's kind of surreal, but he's just gotten to that age where like he understands like, no gifts. So we really just been spending time with each other. And then, of course, like I said on our last episode, we're getting ready to move in 4 months. So kind of just getting situated, unpacking things. And as you guys see, if you're watching the shirt I'm wearing, I love this shirt. So is the best part about purging through stuff is finding found so many
stuff in your own closet. So good.
Oh my gosh. Well, all of us like girls that have prepped, lost weight, gained weight, whatever, we don't like getting rid of our clothes. And so I have so many storage bins that Aaron like made me go through. And so I'm like, I am going to do it. I'm going to sell stuff. I'm going to give stuff away. And so I found like 3 or 4 of these shirts that I just had totally forgot about. And so I'm like, oh, awesome. So it says like living my beast life.
I love it. You know what? That's so cute because my son's YouTube channel is Born to be a Beast.
I forgot about that.
Love that. Yeah, that's cool. No, I love that. I needed that too. I need to really purge because I am hanging on to stuff that just is never going to return to style. And, even the other night I had like a bunch of outfits that I was going to wear. We went to professional bull riding and I was like, oh, yeah, I put on things that I'm just like, this doesn't even fit me. I don't know if this ever fit me. I don't know if my body's changed, but I need a good like purge. Like January is like that dead month. I'm going to like follow your lead and purge my closets. But anyways, I cut you off. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. No, the only reason we're doing it now is because we are going to list our house for rent in January. Yeah. So the time frame of how everything is flowing, our dead month is honestly going to be February because February is going to be the time that like we really don't it's just going to be a waiting period. Like we're going to be able to move stuff. Like we're allowed to go to the property and be able to like move stuff around, do some stuff because there's going to be a lot of renovations. Like we have to build offices out there. It's going to be like this whole project.
You have
for
to
a
build
long
like
time.
A house on that. Like it's just land, right? There's no house there.
No. We have a farmhouse that we're going to be living in. So like we'll have a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath farmhouse. And it's just a cute little ranch house. I think like it's about 100 years old and the barns are over 100 years old. And there's a really cool storage shop. I shouldn't say storage. It's just a shop. It's massive. Yeah. So the property used to hold horses. And so this massive barn they built was going to be a very nice horse stable, but it just never got made for that. So we're going to use a portion of it to build my office and Aaron's office. So like I'll be excited. Like I can create a whole new office and like a kind of sitting area. So I might be like have different background for the podcast and everything. But we will renovate the house a little bit. And then eventually we will build a house further back. It's tricky because the land that we're buying is so long and it's landlocked, which means there's no road around the rest of the land.
Oh, okay.
So to run all the utilities and everything further back is just going to be a process. So like we're just take our time with it. And it's only just us like 3. So the house will be fine. We've kind of checked off some like things that we know we want to renovate, like new floor, update the kitchen. But other than that, it's just really cozy. Like it's like a little cozy farmhouse. But so with February being our dead month, it is also not only Valentine's Day, but it's my wedding anniversary on February 13th. So we got invited to go to the Dominican Republic that week. And so I told Aaron we had all this stuff going on. And of course, it's pricey. And I'm like, we're invited to this. We don't have to, but he's like, it's like Valentine's Day and it's, it's our anniversary. So like,
It's
let's
winter. It's like good to get out of like the
Yeah.
cold and get some vitamin D. Oh, I'm so envious.
Yeah, and so he's like, let's totally do it. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I did not see myself being in a bikini for a very long time. In fact, the next time I like picture myself in a bikini, I will probably be going through IVF treatments or like just not in like a bikini headspace, I should say. Like,
Yeah.
So now I'm like, oh my gosh, like I kind of want to prep for this. This will be super fun. So like I'm kind of doing my own like shreds for the beach kind of thing, just to like just really see what I can do, and while like being really conscious of like my health. So like I've always been able to start prep and have like great progress through prep. There's this like pivotal moment and it's different. It's very hard to pinpoint. It's like as my cardio slowly increases, and of course the weightlifting, 5-6 times a week, and then my calories are dipping, there's like this kind of thing that happens, and that's when my cycle stops. That's when I have like fertility issues. So I know how to stay away from that. So like I have the cardio that I'm enjoying doing. Like I do like running. I have like the weightlifting I'm enjoying, but I'm making sure to really keep my fats high, to kind of treat my refeed meals differently, or I should say flex meals once a week. But it's been really fun. It's like a different kind of challenge for myself. So
yeah, I love it. It's hard this time of year too, like with the holidays and like cookies and treats and stuff. But like, I think it's having a beach is like a good motivator, and just because I think like it's like coming off of your last show and then dealing with the back injury and then sort of like going through some of the fertility stuff and just, I don't know, like I think you stayed in the gym and you stayed focused, but like, we want to give ourselves like a new challenge just to feel like really confident. And I can tell like when we came on today, I was like, she looks like she's like got her mojo going. Like I can just see in your body language.
I just did legs. Like I just totally crush legs at the gym
good,
too.
So.
I do. Yeah. I love it. Like I like having a goal and I like being able to focus on it. And like you said, like coming off my last show, like I mentally was worn down. It was like I kind of got hit back to back because like my back was hurt. I was worn down. I was still wanting to train. My weight was slowly increasing. I started realizing I wasn't going to go back to stage. And then I got hit with like the whole IVF like news, and my coping was cooking and baking and kind of just like shutting myself out because I wasn't sure how to handle everything. Yeah. And it was just like, I like people will see me and I can still keep going and smile and I have a brave face. But when I tell you I had so much stuff going on mentally that like, I couldn't know the direction. And now to feel like I have like all my like direction, or I would say all my focus and mental clarity of like, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? Like today, I even have an appointment with my OB, and I love my OB. She's super cool. It's neat because I'm reaching the age where doctors are my age, and I'm like, oh, like you're not old, like we're Facebook friends. Like, it's nuts.
You've seen my vagina. We're Facebook friends.
We are Facebook friends, but she's super cool. But it's like, because as we kind of gone through a few more doctor's appointments, we like know the IVF stuff and like how to start that and like when we're ready to start it. But we're going to try a few different medications and try to do a few different things to see if like maybe it can happen with just medication. So I'm like, it's just nice to be able to have such a direction of like, this is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it.
When you don't have like a date or like a timeline. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I always like say I don't want to be that person that's like, I need a goal. But like, I think I just live my life in like increments. Like, okay, 9 weeks away, 10 weeks away. Like, I just want to know what I'm doing. Even if it's like, okay, I'm taking a, 2-year break. Like even when I took like a year and a half off, like I was like, okay, 256 days till I step on stage. Like, it's just important. Yeah. I think maybe that's just being a planner, but I think as prep girlies, you do start to just like really like have to have something that you are shooting for, like even loosely if it has to change or whatever, but just to like, I don't know, help with focus. And I think for you just kind of like, am I doing this? Am I doing this? Da-da-da. And like, it just made it hard to really kind of string things together. I can totally relate because that's, been my experience, like several phases of my life. And I'm just old and boring, but
Oh, you are so far from old and boring.
I'm not boring, but I'm old.
Well, you just shared on your Instagram how you are officially starting prep. So tell us how that's going. How do you feel?
So
Exciting.
like I wanted to start like at the very beginning of December because I'm shooting for an early April show and I have lots of travel. Like we do most of our cheer travel like between now and like May, and I kind of wanted to get one show in before that last like cheer trip of the year because we go to Orlando, and I just, I didn't want to be like in like peak week like in Orlando, so I wanted to get one in early April. And so but then of course I was like sidelined with the tooth, which actually is doing a lot better, but I'm having surgery on New Year's Eve, and so I know I'm going to have to take like, maybe a week away from the gym. So I want to just get a jump on things. And so it's going really good. I think what I've realized this week is it's just the little things that I'm having a hard time getting into my schedule. Like diet's been great, training's been great, intensity's there, focus is there, but like stretching, recovery, core work, and posing, like, I know I can make time for those things, but it's just, I would say it's not on the back burner, but I'm almost like, shoot, like I have to be a little bit more productive. And I think it's just that's the part of prep that I won't say I forgot about. But it's also a really busy time of year, like with all the kids and Elf on the Shelf, keeping up with that.
It's so cute.
It is
so
really
jealous.
fun. It
So
might be the
jealous.
last year. I mean, all the kids have.
No.
Yeah, well, yeah, Chloe will be in fourth grade next year. So I was even surprised that she was into it this year, but she is like, I cannot wait for her to wake up in the morning so she can like see. But like next week she'll be at her mom's house, so I won't have to be Elf next week. So I can probably pose because I'm not gonna be elfing.
Yeah.
But no, just like little things like this time of year that take up space. But January gets to be kind of like boring, and I think that's when, I definitely don't want to say I'm going to put off posing and stretching until January, but like, I know I'll get in a good flow. But we do have a lot of cheer travel coming up, so which I mean, I love that. And usually when we travel, I can get workouts in. And that starts, well, actually, while you're in Dominican, I'll be in Atlanta for cheer.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We have that big Atlanta competition. So yeah, anyways, just a lot of life stuff. But I've been like kind of documenting like B-roll. Is that what it's called? B-roll, where you
have
take
no
like
idea.
behind the scenes.
Oh.
To kind of share a little bit more of my journey this year, because I don't know. I don't like to post like weekly progress photos of my prep. I don't know. It's just kind of boring. I don't think it
Yeah, like
helps
the
anybody.
photos.
I don't think anybody's like, what? Wow. Like, and people just they don't want to read. Some people do. But anyways, so I've kind of just been like taking like little behind the scenes of like my life. And it's funny because my son, he was using our hot tub and like peeking through the glass door to our kitchen, and I was cooking and everything, and he came inside. He's like, Mom, you should like film this, like what you do. Like, I'm watching you and thinking like, well, this is really interesting content. Like Mom's cooking and measuring like all her supplements out and everything. And I'm like, it just gave me an idea to kind of share a little bit more behind the scenes. And I mean, and he's really active on like social media and YouTube and tells me how to do things. And I'm like, how do you
That's so
post this? I
helpful
don't
to
even
have
know.
like a little, like a helper.
Yeah, because your son's like into computers too. It's like, I'm like, how do you fix this? It's
Oh
nice.
gosh, yeah. He is, oh my God, like that kid, I swear, like I can't wait to see what he does when he gets older, because when he like just like being into computers, like diving so deep in to like his world of computer applications, programming, coding, cybersecurity, like the depths of it. I'm just like, how can you do this? And it's so funny because he'll say to me, he'll be like, I don't understand how you can't sit here and do this for like a couple hours. I think it's so fun. I'm like, that's why you're going to make a lot of money someday, because you can sit there for several hours and do
It's a different language. Like learning computer science is like, it's complicated. It's great that he's starting like when he is, because then, he'll, have such a deep knowledge of it, which is very empowering.
Well, yeah. And that's what it was really neat, because he's always liked computers. So it's always helped that Aaron's had some knowledge about like computers as far as like hard drives building a little bit. Like he has enough background to hold like a conversation, And then it just kind of grew over time that like Carson would do like computer, soccer, and whatever. And then like we did a cybersecurity camp this last summer at one of the colleges here, UMKC, and he loved it. And he was super challenged. And he like, so he'll get emails and invited to do projects that like just, kind of part of like the email chain. And then like he's gone off his like school site and gone to the other college here, William Jewell, and like done some type of event too. And so he applied to do an externship next his junior year and be able to actually like go to companies and work on computers. And his computer science teacher said like he's a shoo-in for it. So I'm like,
it's awesome.
I know.
Well, Steve Jobs living with you. That's cool.
I'm
Out on Mandy's farm.
I know.
I love it.
The Rochon Ranch. That's what
Yeah,
Aaron
I
calls
love it.
it.
I'm so excited. I'm gonna come hang out and play with
I
the
know, I
goats.
can't wait. We joked because there will be a point in time where we will probably have to like buy an RV and like live in the
I
RV
love
and
this. I'm like, we're totally
yeah,
glamping, like a
I
little
know.
like
So,
Momshell road trip.
oh, I am like, I can't wait. Because we talked about how we'll have to stay. It'll be easier to stay in the RV, and because the shop is so massive, it can hold like two RVs, plus the offices we're building. So we can park the RV and stay like warm or whatever, which would be
I
warm
just had a really
anyways.
cool idea. We could like wrap
What?
it with like bikinis after babies and like go on tour.
Totally do that.
Tour
It would be.
bus.
It'd be like one of those really, really nice RVs too. Cause I'm like, well, if we're gonna
Yeah.
live in it, we gotta have like a nice one. So it's like I have like a whole crazy life to live the next like 2 years.
I know. I'm really glad that you decided not to prep because, like I said in the last episode, and I've said this a million times, but like I think you could do it. But like, it's so much, which is a good segue into our topic today. But like,
Right.
it is, of course, from the outside looking, if you've never competed before, it looks like it's healthy because you're drinking all this water and you're going to the gym, you're taking care of yourself, but it's very consuming. And like we managed to do it with families and everything. But I think there's some variables that make things extra hard, like a move, planning, your wedding is tough, or like some major life change going on in prep can just make things really stressful. And women do a lot of amazing things, but I think I've learned in my experience when it's too much and I'm trying to prep at the same time, it can really take a toll on like not only my happiness but my health, which did lead me to some gut issues, which is a good segue for today. But I think it just takes a lot of maturity to just be like, this is not the year, but also that's fine. Like it's there for me when it is time and when I do have, just like when things are kind of smooth sailing, right?
Oh yeah. It will.
Hmm.
I can't wait to do it. I say this all the time to Aaron that this is a major reason I look up to you. Like I can't
Aw,
wait to be
sweet.
like, I mean, I look up to you for so many reasons, but like to be in a space where you're at right now, where you have the mental, not fortitude, but forethought to be like, this is where I want to be, like Masters Olympia. This is how I'm going to get there. This is what I'm going to try to do. Like, the way that you can think that, because you don't have anything else like that's bombarding you, that's like a what if,
Yeah.
because like for me for a long time it was like, well, I'm gonna do this, of course I can do this, I can do this through anything, right? Because I've done it enough, like I can. But I've gotten to the age where it's like, okay, if I do this, what happens if my cycle doesn't come back one time?
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
And
I
I
think
just
that's a
and I
helpful
just couldn't.
perspective, the two different like stages of life, right? Like
Mhm.
I have like, older kids going off to college and I'm done having children, and like where I'm living right now is probably where I'm going to be living for the foreseeable future. But I went through all
Mhm.
these life changes. I wouldn't say like life changes, but like, really just like, hey, trying to figure things out. And well, I went through my divorce in my mid 30s too. And so like there was that time of like, am I going to have more kids? Like it really just kind of at the time depended on who my life partner would be. And so it's a
Yeah.
different I'm pretty settled. I mean, there's a lot going on with kids and stuff like that, but as far as like making plans to compete, like
Mhm.
we have sort of a routine now. So
Yeah, I mean, Aaron and I always talked about it. We always, he's Carson's adopted dad. So I don't know if I've ever mentioned that on the podcast or
I don't
not,
know that
but
we've ever talked about it. No.
yeah. So, he came into Carson's life when he was 3 going on 4, like right there. And Carson's biological dad, he wasn't capable of being like a really good dad to Carson. And so throughout the years, like him and Aaron, we had a good relationship. Like it was pretty cordial. Like we had some ups and downs, like normal, like young, people that have
Mhm.
kids. But like at the end of the day, like I want to say when Carson was a couple years older, it just was like Aaron is his dad. And like, so his biological dad would like say that and be like, he's a better dad. And we're always like, well, you could always come and be here and do it. We had an open door policy, all this stuff. So sorry, long kind of story. But so when Aaron and I got married, it was always kind of like, okay, well, I want to try this bikini prep thing. Like, I want to see what this is about. And so I'm like, but I don't know if I want more kids. I kind of want more kids. And he's like, okay, we'll see. And it just was over time. It really like my life partner had a massive reason for this. And I will say this is so cheesy, but after like a year, I loved him so much and I loved our family. I loved our us together. I was like, I want more of you and us. and I want to take care of that.
Hmm.
And I just knew. I was like, this is a void that like I have, and now I have it because like I love like my family so much.
Hmm.
So, and I that's just kind of how I explain it to him, and he's always like, "You're so silly," and I'm like, "No, it's just like that's like what it is." I feel
Yeah.
like if I had a different, like you said, different life partner, different perspectives, like maybe it would have been different, but like our age and how we are, that's just something that's like really kind of we've wanted. So,
Hmm.
but like
Yeah.
you said, kind of to segue into our topic today about like gut health is like when you're in a situation where, or I would say like a life where you have a lot of stuff going on. Yes, you can prep, but it's like is it like the healthiest thing to do for you? Because as you know, and you've spoken about and you've helped your clients, I've helped mine, but you way more than I have, is stress is a major cause of like
Hmm.
gut health issues. And I know you can touch on this massively, but that's like something also I wanted to avoid is like just having this massive amount of stress, even though I could do it, just all of the stress that would come with it would be so toxic for me. But
Yeah.
I will say like you like I said, you can touch on this more.
Yeah, I mean, I think just kind of like to start at the beginning, like what we're talking about is gut issues, which, you know, is a variety of different things that you can experience, like from something simple like heartburn and digestion to like you know, having an upset stomach, gas, bloating, issues going to the bathroom, either too frequently, or diarrhea, or even not going to the bathroom. So it's
Mm-hmm.
a broad area. But, you know, what's really hot on social media is like all of these like products marketed towards bloating. And then they're like, oh, if you can like heal your bloating, you can also lose weight. And there's like, you know, this girl with a ridiculously flat stomach, and it's like, buy this product. And, you know,
Yeah.
then all of a sudden you're taking this, and then you have to take another thing. And then, and it's just, it's a really, I think there's a lot of information, but if it's targeted to you from advertisers, I would be careful is sort of my
Mm-hmm.
disclaimer, because, you know, I've taken on new clients and they're taking like 10 different things. I'm like, well, like, what do you, where did this start? Like, what's, oh, I was just having some bloat and then I started taking this and I did this and this is, it's like 10 different things for like a healthy woman in her 30s, you know? So I think that's the first thing I kind of want to mention, because it's a hot topic. And probably if you listen to this, then you're going to start seeing gut issues pop up everywhere, like all kinds of ads. I was talking to somebody about something so random the
It's
other day, and the next thing I saw on my phone was like ads for that same thing. So, anyways, our
mm-hmm.
phones are always listening. But what we really want to talk about today, because we are, you know, we're experts in our field, but we are not gut health professionals. We are not doctors. So, you know, we just want to share like our helpful tips, things that we've seen, things that we can help you maybe understand a little bit about what you're
Mm-hmm.
going through, and next steps that could help you. But essentially, I think, you know, there's a handful of things that are harmful to your gut health. So
Mm-hmm.
where, you know, you might all of a sudden be like, you know, my digestion's off and I don't really understand why. So kind of like we put together a bit of a list of like some of those things, and we can kind of talk about like what those are, and why that they could be affecting your gut health. So the first one, Mandy, would be stress, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think like basically, you know, we all have I guess, a sort of a threshold of like how much stress we can really manage. And I think as we get older, that threshold lowers because our bodies are not as resilient. So you might have gone through law school while being pregnant, planning a wedding, and doing a marathon, and you're like superwoman. And then, you know, 10 years later, you know, your body's not able to adjust or adapt to like even a third of that stress. Why is that? It's because our cells do age as we get older, and we're just not as always as resilient, and that can often ding your gut health, resulting in bloat, indigestion, you know, problems going to the bathroom and such. So I know it's a big one, but do you want to add about that stress as being something that really affects gut health?
Oh, absolutely. Like you said, I mean, when we're younger, we can do so much and we don't ever think about it, especially in our 20s. Like when we're in our 20s, we eat, drink, do everything we possibly like anything we want to, and we have no effect into it. I definitely see it is a big thing. Like I will have clients that will mark that they have low stress, but I also know like they may, because I know them personally. So then I know like you have low stress, but you're also going through holidays, and you're really busy at work at the end of the month. You have this and this going on. So it's like they will mark low stress, but it's in reality it's just because it's what they're used to handling. I feel like we get so used to handling our life stress because we're just supposed to, and that's where we run into problems. Like, just because we're so busy and we have all of this stuff going on and it's just a normal part of life to be this stressed, as you get older, we need to find new ways to like either calm down or take some stress off our plate by delegating. Like, what is really important that you need to do that like maybe somebody else could do it, or somebody else could help you with. I mean, something as like easy as like taking care of the kids. Like, maybe you can ask your partner for like help running them around. Maybe you can ask them to like do something, and it might take some stress off your plate. Like, just doing those minor things will start helping with whatever you're trying to achieve. So like, if you're trying to have like weight loss progression and you're stagnant and you're trying everything you can and it's stressing you out, you don't see the weight changing on the scale, you have like this kind of bloating in your belly, sometimes you go to the bathroom, sometimes you have this constipation, and you just kind of lived with it for like a while, and like you're stuck now on the scale and you're in this kind of limbo area. We never look at like, oh, this is just my life. It's like, well, like, let's start scheduling time to de-stress. Like, lay down and watch a full movie. Like, not 5 minutes. Like, actually watch a full movie and like don't look at your phone. Like, schedule time to like maybe go go to a hot tub, go to a sauna, go to like a spa thing. Like, or like at the gym, like all the gyms, a lot of gyms have like all those kind of things now. Like, find time for that, because you don't realize like if you keep going in that direction and as you keep aging, you're going to start having like, especially as females, like you're going to start heading into menopause, and you're going to have some hardcore menopause symptoms, hardcore hot flashes, bad sleep. You're going to be so short-tempered. You're probably going to have some brain fog, and you're still going to be trying to carry the same stress load that you had for like when you're 20. Like, that's crazy.
It's like a real like chemical situation going on in your body. When your body's overstressed, your body releases chemicals like, when you have that reaction, like let's say you like almost crash your car, or like you get really upset and you freak out, right? Like, it's that fight or flight response. Like, your body releases chemicals, right? And if that happens often, it can really impact multiple organs and systems in your body. But mostly, secreting cortisol, which we know is the stress hormone. And the more you have of that, the more it starts to impact your sleep and other different processes in your body. And so it's like kind of like a cascade of things where like, you can tolerate so much for so long, but if you start to ignore things like, minor bloat, headaches, all these things, and then you're just like, oh, let me just take probiotic. Oh, let me just take a Tylenol. Oh, I can't sleep. Let me have a glass of wine. And like, you start to do all these things to just try to cope. Whereas like the problem was here of like your response to stress, and not kind of realizing that you need to like pay attention to that. And then all of a sudden we're over here and you're, having issues losing weight. Like you said, you're starting to see some of those early symptoms, or like worsening of perimenopause symptoms, like, all these things, right? So just kind of being aware of stress on the body. And then what are some things that can help with that? Like you said, things to take you out of fight or flight. Everyone knows I love crafting. Getting out that glue gun, but it could be something else. It could be like a little house project, or it could be reading, taking a bath, going for a walk. But then I see people running up hills, like killing themselves, sprinting and doing all this like hardcore, like running, walking for stress. I'm like, well, you're stressing your body out even more. So that's where like exercise is sort of like, it's great for us, but if you're in a place where your body's overstressed and you're having issues, your sleep is impacted, the last thing you need to be doing is adding more workouts. But you can kind of see where that happens, where if somebody's like, oh well, I'm not losing weight, let me just work out more, and then they find that they're still stuck. I mean, it is like a real thing. So I always say like bloating and like problems with digestion are kind of like an early sign of like other things that are going on before all that stuff seems to get worse. And then we're over into the pituitary gland, and we're affecting the thyroid, and there's hormonal problems going on. So it's really, really common. So I think like just, like you had said, like being aware of like, okay, this is not normal. Like what could be going on? I think what people commonly do, and you probably see this too in your client base, is they're like, it's probably the Greek yogurt. Like I should probably not eat dairy. And, like, it's the gluten. I'm like, I mean, maybe, but like, let's look at everything, right? Like, let's not say it's not the half of an English muffin you had for breakfast when you're like, you sleep 3 hours a night and you're like running yourself into the ground, right? So I think that would
Mhm.
sort of be like maybe like a mistake that on top of buying everything you see on Instagram, but also like, let me eliminate everything from my diet because
Yeah.
the healthy stuff, it has to be the healthy stuff, right?
It's it's so crazy because I see it all the time. I see it in my client base. I see it in my life.
Mm-hmm.
It's oh, my body is upset with me, or my gut hurts, or I slept like shit because I ate gluten and I ate this. So I need to cut that out of my diet. And so here's what I always see happen. I mean, I see this happen. I mean, this it happens to everybody because it's unsustainable to be in like keto. Like, I'm not saying like high fat, low carb, but like the actual keto diet, like the actual, like the percentages that you have. It's
Yeah, very
unsustainable
few
in
people
our
can like
country.
live in
Yeah,
that.
it's
It's very
unsustainable in
hard.
our
Hmm.
country. And well, it's just unsustainable. Not ever eating dairy. It's unsustainable. Like, at the end of the day, I'm sorry. Like, you have the few handful of people that are actually going to die if they eat dairy in our country. Other countries don't consume dairy like we do. But when you do that, you are telling your body that you're not going to eat this anymore. Let's say you stop eating dairy for like 2, 3, 4 weeks. Let's say you do it. And you're telling your body you're not going to eat this substance anymore. So the enzyme that like we produce that breaks down lactate, like our body stops producing it because it doesn't need it. It thinks it doesn't need it. But oh, how fast are you going to eat that, cheesy pizza or lasagna or pasta or something at some point, ice cream, like at some point you're going to eat it and your body's going to feel like it's just going to feel like dog shit because you ate that and it didn't know it's not prepared for it. So
Right.
having a little bit of dairy is not bad. Of course, like, I'm not talking about the people that actually have like an allergic reaction to this stuff. I'm talking about the
Right.
common people.
Like a real, like, and some people do have like various food sensitivities,
Yeah.
but I think even with a sensitivity, there's an amount that you can tolerate.
Hmm.
And like, you could maybe, if let's say you were gluten sensitive, right? There's a certain like threshold that you shouldn't pass, but it doesn't mean you have to like completely eliminate it because again, your body like will not have the enzymes
Hmm.
to break that down. And that's why I say food sensitivity testing though is tricky. Like I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, I've seen some people that do it and like, they're not prepped for it properly, and then everything they ate in the last 3 days is like what shows up flagged as things that they can't have. And some of it just might be your own trial and error, but like that can also be dangerous. That's when people are like, well, I'm going to eliminate egg whites and this and this and this, and they're not kind of looking at like the big
Hmm.
picture. So and certainly comment if you've had good luck with some food sensitivity testing and
Hmm.
taking a look at what really looks at that. But I think it's a process of like, are you always sensitive? Like, will you forever have that issue? How much can you tolerate? Like, it's a really tough thing to determine. Our
Well,
bodies and our gut flora changes all the time.
yeah, and everybody's different. Like, every single
Hmm.
person's different. And that's another thing that we see, again, going back to kind of social media. Like, you see, like, oh, you're bombarded with all of these, products, and you're also bombarded by people that
Yes.
probably have, like, they set it up to in their algorithm to be able to push to you that, like, they have a flat stomach because they did XYZ or they ate XYZ. And really, in reality, they're going to be different, or they're probably trying to market their product. So you always want to be very careful, because at the end of the day, it really is just very simple. Because another thing, and I know you see it all the time too, is, let's say that you are one of those people that think like, oh, dairy did it, oh, gluten did it, oh, like, I'm eating the carbs, they're terrible, or rice, destroys me. Like, you're one of those people that kind of switch to that extreme instead of kind of being a more simplistic. And we'll talk about that, like how to kind of combat some of this in a minute. But like, let's say you're that person, your next step is going to the grocery store and buying all of that ultra processed food that has words on it that say low carb, like
Yeah.
all low carb, or like whatever it's going to say, gluten free, like all of these things, because it's marketed to you and it's ultra processed, it's highly processed, some of it's ultra processed. But at the end of the day, those processed foods have not, like, they have not been around for, as long as we've been around, and our stomachs don't handle a lot of it well. In small like doses it does, in small plates it does, but it's not going to handle it in massive amounts.
Hmm.
And when you start eating or start trying to replace something like a rice, like a third a cup of rice with something else that's, like a side dish that's processed because all of a sudden it's low carb and all of these things and it has like a laundry list of ingredients, that is going to start bothering you way faster, way faster.
Yeah, it's so true. I think like I've seen people that are like vegan and like their entire menu is like all this like fake meat and they still drink wine. And I'm just kind of like, well, like, I don't know if like buying a bunch of like processed fake meat is like, healthy. And I think like there are people who do a really good job of like, trying to put the healthiest stuff in their bodies and like, stay away from all the processed stuff. I just think it's everyone's rules for themselves are really different. But when it comes to digestion, you really have to look at everything. Like, it could be your weekend activity of like, let's say you go out and you have, food at a restaurant and you drink some wine and then you don't get enough sleep. And then, Tuesday you're like, man, is it my oatmeal? Probably not, sister. It's probably the weekend, right? So I think like doing a deep dive of that. But I think the overarching theme is just like, things that are over processed. And again, small amounts. Like I love me some snacks like, every now and then, right? But if you are eating that stuff all the time and you're having some digestive issues, let's start by cleaning that up rather than going so extreme too, because that I think can really be a problem. Because I think when it comes to prep, that is where we see some digestion issues for competitors, is that as we get like closer and closer to show, or maybe there's a couple of shows back to back, depending on who does your diet, some coaches right from the jump will pull everything and you're just eating chicken and broccoli and rice for 26 weeks, right? That's a really long time to eat just like a very low food variety. And so, you start to introduce foods that you haven't had in such a long time. Like, that's going to be tricky for your body to break down. Eventually it'll be okay. But, if you go ham after your show and you eat like, big pizza and a bunch of desserts and everything, and you're like, I'm allergic to gluten. It's like, well, no, but you had a lot of it. So you have to transition back. Like, when you're a baby, right? Like you don't just give babies everything. Like you gradually introduce foods, right? Just to get their digestion going. And obviously adults are not the same, not like, trying to say that. But when you get out of a prep, it's important to like gradually introduce foods because it just, you have to get your body used to digesting that stuff again.
It is. Like, I see that a lot coming out of preps. Like, whenever we build like our reverse improvement season and we're taking those baby steps and we're adding things back, like, we know that most of the time clients are going to go out to dinner, they're going to go out here, they're going to go out there. And it's fine. Communication's good, try to plan everything. But just, you always want to remember whenever you go out and do that, like you have your reverse, you have your plan, but you also know you're going to go out. Well, when you go out, let's say in like three week time frame, like you go out a couple different times and your digestion kind of starts bothering you. You have problems going to the bathroom, like you don't feel the greatest. It's not going to be the plan. It's not going to be the plan that's slowly incorporating calories. It's going to be the eating out, even if it's a few days later. And it's one of those things where it's like, I don't like how I feel. You got to kind of hold yourself accountable, like, I don't like how I feel. I feel like shit. Like, I just need to drink water. I need to like, move my body, get back on my plan and realize this is how I feel. Because that's the thing. You don't want to compromise your boundaries whenever you're coming out of prep because you're so sensitive. Like you're so sensitive to so many things and it's so many people are happy for you and that's fantastic. But you want to make sure that you communicate exactly what's important to you and not just be like, okay, I'll do this, this, and this, and I won't eat that, but I'll eat this. It's like, when you're out of prep, man, like everything is really tempting, like really, really tempting.
Yeah.
Like, so you really just want to, I don't want to say like wrap yourself in a bubble, but just like give yourself some grace, like give yourself some time,
Yeah, gradually reintroduce all of that. And it can be hard because everyone's like, I don't understand, like you're not dieting anymore. And like there's two parts to it. Obviously, we're trying to like, our body is going to gain some body fat. We want to make sure we do that in like a slow and healthy way, right? But also like we don't want to throw off our digestion and make ourselves feel miserable because when I went through all my gut issues, like the hardest part was that like I really hadn't gained very much body fat after my show, but my stomach was huge and it affected me. I didn't want to go to the gym. I felt really insecure. And it really helped me back in my reverse after the show. And so, I just think everyone just has to know for themselves. It isn't always about the scale. It's about health too, right? And
Yeah.
eventually you can get to where, in most cases you're digesting foods normally, but it's just a process. And also your metabolism has taken a little bit of a hit being in prep. That's one thing we often see is as people start to get leaner and, your metabolism adapts. So as your body is, lighter and, you don't weigh as much, your body requires less calories to stay alive, and your body's also adapting to what you're giving it. So your metabolism slows down, digestion slows down with it. Sometimes we're not going to the bathroom as often. So if you think you've got a bit of a traffic jam, you just keep adding cars to the traffic jam, it just like makes things a little bit harder and can make you feel a little bit backed up and and really just feel heavy and gross. So
And that goes almost back, like, remember that, like, that traffic jam, like, for those listening, remember that traffic jam, stress is just going to add to it. So if you're stressed out about that traffic jam, you just made it worse. Take a nap. Go take a nap.
Get into that rest and digest. Like when you're in sleep and you're getting good quality sleep, that's when your body and your digestion are resetting. You're resting everything. And so sleep is really that is the most undervalued tool for health. It really is. And I used to be go, go, go. I don't require a lot of sleep, but I've now been really paying close attention to it. And it's helped me so much to really pay attention to that.
I was talking to somebody at the gym today. This is just about like rest and recovery. I was talking to somebody today and they just recovering from like a sinus infection. They were like sick for weeks, like long time. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I will happily admit I am a big baby. Like the second I don't feel good, like I feel off, like something's not right. I'm like, nap, get my work done. I work from home, get all my work done and go take a nap. Go rest, go go to bed early, try to sleep in like a little bit. Like I just rest and knock on wood. Like I get to moments where I don't feel good, but I've yet to have like cold, flu, COVID, things like that in the last like 2 years. Yeah. 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last time I had COVID in it was when I started my 22 prep. I remember I felt like horrible and I had COVID and I was like coughing for weeks, but yeah. So, but
sleep is big.
It is. And another thing that this also is so important with our gut, and there's so many studies on it now, like you can go down this massive rabbit hole, is how when our gut has all of this imbalance, how our bodies react with inflammation. And not inflammation just in your stomach, it's all over. Like it will be like in your shoulder, it will just be your entire body. And whenever you're going through that, like you got to remember if your body is inflamed, not only do you have the symptoms of not feeling good, like rather it's headaches, rather it's your, stomach aches, having trouble sleeping, but you're going to have trouble recovering. So if your body is severely inflamed, your stomach is upset, you're not having great sleep, you are going to have really horrible recovery. That inflammation is going to build up. You are going to lead your body down a susceptible route of having injury. And it could be any type of injury. And that injury could last you a lifetime. As I speak, because I have a lifetime injury, technically.
Yeah.
I can't fix it.
Well,
the
and
only
also,
way...
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I was going to say the only way to technically fix my back is to hurt it worse, which is stupid.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So you can't fix bulging discs. You have to they have to be full, like herniated, and then, or I guess bulging way more. And I'm talking, this pain apparently is like insane. Like the doctors told me, like you're like in bed in pain. You can't like move, and you have surgery. But mine's not bad enough. So I'm like, okay, I'm just heal it myself. But now I've been feeling fine. But yeah.
Good. Thank God. I forgot what I was going to say now. No,
inflammation.
Inflammation. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Too early for prep brain.
I was just about to say that.
But no, I mean, we have had, clients that have had gut issues and they're really frustrated because they're not seeing progress, not only in like fat loss, but like also in like muscle gain. Because if you're having issues with digestion, you are probably not assimilating all of the nutrients that you're giving your body. We are not what we eat. We are what we digest. So fixing digestion and really getting that optimal, like really does help you be able to build muscle. 'Cause nutrition's so vital in that process. You can't just lift a bunch of weights and hope to build muscle without the right amino acids and all of those things. So I noticed for myself when I was on my like gut healing journey, I had to build back a lot of muscle because, you know, my body wasn't assimilating all the nutrients I was giving it. Just as I was, you know, kind of going through all that, and I was dealing with a lot of inflammation too. So correcting that was a journey for me. And I think like, you know, definitely start with your doctor if you have a severe case. If you're listening to this and you've been struggling for a really long time, you know, we're probably not sharing anything that you don't already know. You've probably already heard all this stuff before, and maybe you've bought all the products. Maybe you're on a bunch of different things and not sure what's even working anymore. And I think your first step is to go and make sure that, you know, there isn't something going on. The colon is a very long organ. It's, you know, it's very long, it's very spread out. You know, there could be something severe going on. And I think it's always good to just check and make sure. But if you get to where I was at sort of like a wall of like, we've done all the testing, we cannot find out what's going on with you. You know, looking at lifestyle and stress, and all of that. Because I will tell you what I noticed for myself is, I mean, I had chronic bloat for like 2.5 years. And what I noticed was when I went on vacation, no bloat, and I would eat whatever. Like I'm on the beach, I'm eating tacos, I'm having tequila, I'm doing all the things I would never do at home, and I don't have any bloat. How does that make any sense, right? And what I realized was stress was just like a huge factor. So having to really take some time, you know, to reduce inflammation and really just take a look at my lifestyle, which is hard when you're somebody who's, you know, used to training intensely and being told like you can't lift every day, you can't like, you know, kill yourself in the gym every day when that is something that you've been doing. But it was worth it to take a step back and do that and get myself healthy again. And now I'm much more aware of what not to do so that I can keep myself healthy. But yeah, I think, you know,
Yeah, I feel
anyone
like
who's listening might feel that they've, you know, reached a dead end. And you know, there's a lot of things that that can be done, and testing I think is important though to make sure that it's not something, you know, medical.
it is. I've seen it on lots of different ends because I've had people that have not gone to a doctor or talked to anybody about it. I've had people like, you do want to go to your doctor and talk to your doctor about it. Sometimes your doctor's knee-jerk reaction will be to prescribe you like laxatives. Like that's always like this knee-jerk thing to do. And you don't want to keep slapping solution. You don't want to keep slapping like a Band-Aid on it. You need a solution. And taking certain medications aren't a solution, they're a Band-Aid. And it's like, why is this happening?
Yeah.
And so I will say like, is like, if you have a problem, like go to your doctor, great. But I would always seek like functional medicine doctor that probably specializes in GI. And when I tell you like the stuff I've seen some of my clients figure out about themselves when I've like pushed for that, like it's nuts. It's insane. Like these doctors that are these functional medicine doctors and their teams, and they will just look at your body as a whole, like what you really should be doing. They find out all of these things about you, and it is overwhelming. I don't think I've seen a case where it's not overwhelming, but it's a start. And then like you can start like, okay, this is what I need to start doing. And kind of going back to like processed foods, like in small doses, they're good. They can be helpful, like sugar-free alcohols. It's a perfect example. These sugar-free alcohols are fantastic. They are. Like, I love me a sugar-free vanilla latte is so much. I know I can have like 1 or 2 a day. Now, if I have like 5, my gut is going to be like, I hate you. Like, and not because of the caffeine, it's going to be because that sugar alcohol content, like it's still going to bother you. Like when you see like sugar-free things, it's great. It's sugar-free, but that sugar-free alcohol is going to bother your stomach. Everybody's threshold is different with that. Yeah. But is that sugar-free latte better than a 30-gram carb latte of pure sugar? 100%. Yes, it is. But you want to be mindful of your consumption. And if you kind of reach that limit and notice something's wrong with your body, you need to kind of take accountability and be like, okay, I can't do that. Perfect example. I was telling you about this the other day. I make homemade Chex Mix starting in the beginning of November. Chex Mix is honestly a bunch of cereal pretzels thrown together with butter and sauces. Okay. So I, of course, have this all around my house, and I have been like kind of little snacky on it, right? Because I give it out to people, have it around the house on the tables. I started having pain in my hand, like kind of arthritic pain. And I'm like, that's weird. It's never happened before. And I started noticing it was like kind of hurting like my grip into my cups. And it was happening for weeks. And I finally said something to Aaron. I'm like, I'm not going to go to the doctor about it, but like I'm noticing maybe this is something that happens as I get older. And right there, like I said that. I said it out loud and I was like, Mandy, that is terrible. Like things don't happen just because things can happen, but like that's not correct. And that's probably like it's such a not a pet peeve, but I hate that for people because socially we'll be like, "Oh, you can eat that. You can do this. Who cares? It's not a big deal." It's like, "No, like let's say you do that for a long enough time and all of a sudden you have an autoimmune disease because you have chronic inflammation and now something's severely wrong with you and you have to get infusions, you have to get medication, you have to get all this stuff for the rest of your life."
Which, like, it really, I think people get scared when they hear that, and it doesn't ever really come from one thing. Like it's a series of
chronic
things, right? So I think that's where there's a lot of marketing that like scares the shit out of people. And then then there's a lot of like sort of things about like, oh, this food is a no, and we don't want to do this, and it makes everything labeled as like good and bad. So I think just like really thinking about what you put in your body, and just being mindful of chemicals and what's in stuff, and just start like, you're about to put a barbecue sauce on something, like just take a peek at the label and be like, okay, well, if I'm using one serving of this, but if I'm dumping like, a ton of this on my food, or when I cook this, like just start to really be mindful of those chemicals and just pull them back a little bit. Caffeine as well. I had to really take a look at my caffeine habit and really just be mindful of that, because that was hard. I can have coffee. I just can't have a lot of coffee. Even things like your protein powder. Is your protein powder upsetting your stomach? Like, is there a ton of sugar stuff in there, fake sugars? Is it casein based and it's tough to break down? So just like being mindful of the things you put in your body, and then making good choices about that. But I think what a lot of people do is like, I should probably need to take a probiotic, or like maybe I just need like to do a cleanse or like a detox, which like you don't want to do that. Like shit your brains out for 7 days, like that disrupts your flora in your gut terribly. And what we're seeking is like a nice balance in our gut. And that's why probiotics can be just sort of a slippery slope, because a broad spectrum probiotic is going to like increase the levels of everything that's in there. There might be some that are too high, some are low, and those are going to increase, but like you can't just take a broad and think it's going to just be the fix for everything. I think that's something that that people should kind of watch, is that, and I think like you can get natural probiotics in a lot of foods like kombucha and all of that too. But I think just like the easiest approach is watching your stress, making sure you get good quality sleep. And you can use something like this to see, this is an Oura ring, to evaluate your sleep. It's really helped me, because what I was noticing is my deep sleep is not great, and that I've been trying to improve. And when my deep sleep is better, I notice my digestion's better, because I'm in that like rest and digest. So that's been like very eye-opening. Watching your weekend activities, your alcohol consumption, your intake of processed foods, and just like a nice balanced diet. I always tell people that like when you start working with a coach and you follow a meal plan, then there's fewer variables. And so we can really identify like if something is causing an issue, right? And a lot of times we find it's not. That's not the culprit. It's lifestyle stuff. So I think that's a really good like kind of place to start, is get on a good routine, and then go from there, because you definitely don't want to start adding like this laxative and this thing and this and this and this, and before you know it, you're taking a bunch of stuff that you don't need.
Yeah. I will say, I forgot to say, my hands stopped hurting after I stopped eating Chex Mix.
Oh,
I forgot
that's
to.
good,
I forgot
but
to say.
sad, because Chex Mix is delicious. Maybe it's just like a little
No,
bit of
it's
Chex Mix, okay, not a lot of it.
absolutely like no, a little bit of Chex Mix is okay, but like I was just eating it like often. So, but no, back to kind of like just what you were saying. Like once you have a nutrition plan and you see like it laid out, you want to stick to it, because that's also another thing. You want to give your body time to adjust. So like let your body go through, like a couple weeks on your plan, and like see kind of what happens. Realize like when you eat certain foods, what happens. Like you feel good. You don't have to go crazy obsessed over it, but just notice like when you feel off, like it's when you eat this. And so maybe you shouldn't eat that broccoli. Maybe you should substitute it for zucchini, things like that. So I think things in,
It's
small
learning about
doses.
your body, like, because we're all different. And that's why, like, following somebody else's guidance of what they do might not be the solution for you because we're all so different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I hope this was a very insightful episode for anybody listening. And if you have any questions or comments, of course, on like your gut experience or maybe your gut journey, or like Gillian said at the beginning, kind of the gut testing that you've gone through and like it was really successful, easy to read, easy to follow, comment, let us know like your thoughts, on any platform. We're on Apple, Spotify, and of course you can watch us on YouTube. So,
Yeah, definitely share with us anything that, any testing that has been helpful. We're always looking for experts to bring on the show as well, hormone and such, like anything that can help our audience. So if you've got somebody that's really helped you on your health or your gut healing journey, we would love to have them on. And if you're looking for help with your 2025 goals, whether it's getting ready for the beach or getting ready for the stage or just wanting to kick ass at life, Mandy and I are taking clients, and the information on how to get started is linked below. We have a team of 6 coaches that we work with, and we're here to help you just become your best version of yourself.
yeah, so thank you guys for listening, and we hope that you have a really good holiday.
Yes, Merry
Yeah.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Bye, guys.
Bye.